Greetings, beautiful people. I'm going to talk about this God word. That basically, when you think of the word God, not you particularly, but certain people, they think of a religious type of figure when that word comes to mind, and just basically out of programming, even bad or good, let's say. The concept of bad or good, evil or heavenly, is all associated with the word God. When, in my opinion, God is just basically more or less authority. Okay, and when you look at the word authority, I Googled this word. The reason I Googled it, I already had my own concept of what this word authority means. But since I know a lot of people usually turn to Google, which is why I sometimes look at what the average person would look towards research, as far as authority goes. Okay, authority, the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. This is an example, he had absolute authority over his subordinates. Now, the right to give orders, okay? What gives one the right to give orders for one strange reason? You know what I'm saying? And this could be looked at in many ways, because if I go to a restaurant, I'm giving orders, But I am also the consumer, okay, where without me the business wouldn't survive. So my opinion about the place matters, because let's say if I decided to give a review, it would tarnish a reputation of a place if I decided to give a bad review, right? So in other words, I have to be serviced with utmost respect and fulfilled to the maximum capacity that the place can provide for me, all with exceptional training and customer service skills, right? Knowing how to present yourself. So the way you present yourself, your cleanliness, let's say, what do you call that? I don't know, I forgot the word they use for like cleanliness or dirtiness or whatnot, stuff like that. And again, the skills you have in being able to attend or service to somebody, especially like even after they got served, being able to stay on top of them if they needed anything in between. So you're basically serving this person as if this person was royalty, like if it was a king. You know what I'm saying? This person's only eating their lunch or dinner or breakfast in a restaurant, but they have to be served exactly how they would be serving kings back in the day, because kings were authority. Now, when you look at the word on the dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust." I also hear a lot of people that are very into money, say cash rules everything around me. Now, there's many different ways you can look at money as well. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get yourself in a position of power to align with such energy, which is basically nothing but a frequency. Because everything out here, when we talk about, is everything fake. The money, people, everything's fake. Let's say you're here by yourself. Everything's technically fake out here in this matrix. It is still very real, in fact, because I'm interacting with it. I can touch it. I can feel it. I can have an emotion, taste it. I mean, everything feels very lucid, right? So it's very real, in fact, yet it's still fake at the same time. Now, what I would consider real would be something that would never corrode. But all these things have a certain time limit before they either go out of style or just corrode. So what stays eternal is your spirit, okay? So this is why now when we say cash rules everything around me, this is basically an authority for you, because what do? You go and work for your money. You put your time and efforts in a job to make money, all in the interest of working for money, because you say I work to get paid. So you're working for money rather than money working for you. So look at how many levels under God you can consider yourself to be. Not only are you working for money, but you're most likely working in a company that is not yours. So you're under a company as well. So now this company is under a system of, let's say, government or tax system or whatever systems it may be above that are actually above that company. That company answers to somebody. And then you have that system that responds to the Godhead, the authority. So as it goes up in authority figure. Look at when we're kids, okay? When we're kids, we look up to our parents. Our parents are our authority figures, but they're considered our God, to the point where we believe everything they say. And most of the time, our parents never were 100% honest with us. I mean, they told me Santa Claus existed, just like you're being told by religion that Jesus Christ existed. You know what I'm saying? And now it can exist to you, but it depends how it exists to you. You get what I'm saying? If it exists to you in a way that you believe like a child thinks that Santa Claus is going to come down the chimney, this is exactly how you think Jesus Christ is going to come down and save everybody. So it's the same concept, only because you were told that. Okay, a lot of people haven't even had any experiences and they'll still believe it only because of blind faith. Okay, now when you're looking at the word God, let's say, look at dogs. If you see the word dog backwards is God. Dogs look up to their master. Now there's a big difference between these type of dogs to the wild dogs that are in the wild. You know what I'm saying? Who do these wild dogs in the wild, like wolves, answer or respond to? You know, because we talk about the animal kingdom, but I also made the example when I was a child. I was playing with toys. I was immersed into a universe that I created in my mind based on things that I've actually seen out here, but then I was able to use that as a blueprint to further enhance my creation. Meaning, like, you know how sometimes the fans have some objections and criticism toward the way certain athletes are booked as far as storyline goes. They say they may be doing lazy booking or they don't book them correctly and whatnot. You see, I was able to have that creative control in my mind to book these characters accordingly. Okay, so I had total creative control. But here's the thing though, I was completely lost in that universe, meaning I was one with that. I became that entire universe when I was a child. The moment I became aware of what I was doing, I created that concept of duality. Now I started to see the separation between what I was doing to what I actually am now as being human, okay? But when I was in there, it's like a child. A child plays with their toys, or let's say even before they play with toys, you notice how they're like in a light hypnosis and they're just looking, and then you call their name and whatnot, and it looks like they're ignoring you. But then the moment you break them into that, out of that little trance that they're in, whatever they were looking at or staring at, or not even staring, but they were more or less gazing at, they get disturbed and they start crying. They get annoyed. So more or less, like on a bigger scale, let's say when I was playing with these toys as a more mature adult, let's say, I was still in that light hypnosis toward where I was immersed and I was one with that, and the slightest disturbance created that little separation, you know. So then now I started to look at everything and started compartmentalizing everything, when in actuality, let's say, everything's basically just moving, you know, everything's just moving. Now, why do I even talk about this when it comes to God and whatnot? When I'm playing with these toys, basically I'm the Godhead. I'm the one that decides who wins, who loses, you know, and being fully immersed in there, I am the winner and the loser. I am the storyline. I am the commentators. I am the referee. I am even the crowd. And I mentioned this in the little description below that the reason I even immersed myself into this universe as a base is because of the importance of the crowd. It's just like you could be looking at the people as far as how important they are when you get serviced in a restaurant. How important people are for this government to even exist. You hear what I'm saying? The storylines could be placed, but a lot of the times people start to question actuality and reality. When you look at actuality and you look at reality, okay, here's the thing though. The reality of things. I just, you know, I rescued 3 kittens in my garden that were like real little, and now I have them in my place. I never thought I was gonna own cats. For one, I've never been a cat person, but things just happened. You know what I'm saying? I could have made the decision. I was very present at the moment that it happened, where I said, okay, no, I'm gonna make the decision to say no, or I'm gonna just basically just go for it and have an experience. Now, I've always been allergic to cats, to the point where I couldn't even be in a room where there was a cat. And even if I didn't know about it, because what's funny is I went to my friend's house in Brooklyn. His name is Spartacus. And, I'm sitting there and I'm like freaking scratching my head, my neck. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with me? I feel like ripping my head off. And my friend's laughing at me. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I think I fucking ate something. I got fucking allergic and I'm fucking scratching. I got welts. My eyes are all puffy and shit. And then out of nowhere, I just see a cat come out of the room. I'm like, oh, dude, no wonder. I'm allergic to cats. Now I start to ask myself, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm aware that the cat was there, I may have justified the fact that I was like all itchy because I'm like, fuck, I'm already aware there's a cat here. I know I'm allergic to cats, which I programmed myself to say I'm allergic to cats. So, but I didn't even know the cat was there. I didn't even know he owned the cat. But yet I was scratching. You know what I'm saying? Could it be that, am I really allergic to cats? Because I'm not allergic to anything. Yet one day I just said, I heard somebody say they're allergic to cats, and I'm like, maybe I'm allergic to cats. I don't know, because I'm not allergic to anything. And then for some strange reason, I started reading up on dander. I started reading up on a bunch of shit, and now I'm allergic to cats, which is weird. But the funny thing is that upon bringing these kittens in, I went through this whole fucking crazy allergy thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing research and whatnot. I'm also meditating on this stuff. And, upon reading and researching some things and then meditating on some things, I'm also realizing that, they say cats are, very good for, healing the heart of certain people. They're actually very spiritual animals. You can hear a bunch of things how they can actually positively impact your health. Now, it dawned on me because I said to myself, okay, well, if somebody has the flu, okay, and they get a fever, they get sick, and they're all fucked up in the game in bed, they're technically healing. Because if that immune response didn't happen, they would probably die because the infection would take over their body. So it is actually good that they're sick and feeling like shit and they can't eat and they're probably puking and shitting their pants. That's the body's natural way of detoxing. Now, the funny thing is that I happen to think I eat a pretty good diet, but with these allergies, I felt a lot of mucus in my chest, and I felt like I couldn't breathe too much. And I said, you know what? I'm not taking medication. I'm going to just let this ride, but I'm going to keep my distance from them and, just interact with them, play with them. And, I would get the little allergy symptoms and whatnot. But up until eventually, I've had them already for a month and a half, and I don't have any allergies. You know what I'm saying? And the funny thing is that I was expelling a lot of waste out of my body. And I can look at this as an immune response, but then it's not where you tie it in to say that these animals cure your heart in a metaphysical way, but they can actually probably do it in a physical way. Who is to say that when you go outside in the spring, when you have allergy season, pollen season, this is not a good thing? The first thing people want to do is take medication and just basically turn off these symptoms that are happening. And sometimes these things may not be a bad thing. Okay? And this is taking responsibility for yourself. Again, taking the authority into your own hands. This is where you can say, okay, you are embodying God by doing this. It's not to say I'm going to go create planets and do a magic trick in front of your face. See, I'm in this realm. My consciousness is rooted in this reality, in this physical form that is basically, it's limited. But when you know yourself and you get to understand what it is that's happening out here and how everything's vibrating slower and the time is a lot slower and things take time to manifest. Technically, they do the moment that they're in your mind. However, it takes time to manifest. And in between that time, it's about maintaining your focus and your frame, because you could detour from that reality actually happening because you actually intercepted it or interfered it with another thought that did not match that reality that you were on your way to meeting in your life. See, a lot of people start to think about it in the now moment since they're young and they're programmed. Oh, cancer runs in my family, diabetes runs in my family, and they live with that reality within them. And yeah, genetic weaknesses are passed down from your parents, but you can change that. So are you a victim, or are you just basically looking at that as something more powerful than you? That's your authority. So you looked at that disease or that program that your parents passed something down to you that you had no control over. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't your fault that your mom either ate garbage or did drugs while you were in the womb. You know what I'm saying? But this is for you to realize that you are the one that changes the programming here. That's how you know you're God. Okay? And this is why when I start to talk about authority, okay, I looked at another example there that said, the military has complete authority to arrest illegal traffickers. But then the thing, you start to ask yourself, who gave them the authority? And then who gave the authority that authority? And then you got to go all the way back to that's where you start to see that there's people behind curtains, like the Wizard of Oz. Okay, but who had control the entire time, right? Was it the person behind the curtain due through manipulation, or was it the person who was unaware of their power, which is Dorothy? Okay, so the way I look at God, God is authority. So how do you take authority? You start with the smallest little things. Let's say if you got to overcome certain fears, you have to overcome certain addictions, you have to overcome certain things, which I made an example that really helped me a lot. And I really put this to the test where I really made a nice little focus out of it, where let's say you get certain urges and whatnot. Certain urges that you may want to cave into an addiction that you know is not going to be any good for you in that moment. And there's really nothing wrong with anything that you do. More or less is how you're doing it. You get what I'm saying? Growing up, I've had an addiction to porn. I've had an addiction to masturbation. And it was very hard to break it. But, more or less, the times that you get those urges, and sometimes, you may want to release. There's nothing wrong with releasing. Especially if you're doing it on your own, because more or less, like even growing up, I've had problems with masturbation, and I'm going to go into another video as to why that even is as a child. You know what I'm saying? The reason it happens is because of the fact that you get these urges. But then the moment that you get these urges, well, what I was going to say was that when you get these urges to masturbate, like when I did it, I remember that I used to be like, well, you know what? I'm going to make this one an epic one. And I would just make it a fucking, like, a great one. I would make it so good that I'd be like, damn, that was a good one, man. I really get it. That was good. You know what I'm saying? But then you start to listen to certain things. Let's say when certain people like actually start to become conscious, you start to listen to different communities and start to demonize people doing that. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing is that, yeah, there is negative effects. Like, you're losing energy. It's like if you make a big transaction. You get what I'm saying? More or less, if I have a certain amount of money, and then I go and I make a big transaction, then can I recover it? Did I make an investment? Am I getting any return out of it? Yeah, there is a transaction. But at the end of the day, my mentality was that I had the energy, I had the urge, and man, it was a fucking good one. But these are energies that are still part of you. They're all your energy. You do with your energy whatever you need to do. But then the moment that somebody tells you about, oh, you're losing life force, you're gonna die faster, you get older faster. You see, I'm gonna be 42 years old. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I look bad for my age. You know what I'm saying? And more or less, how you stay young is not holding on to shit. That's actually the key to actually looking and staying young and staying happy and active. I'm gonna make another video on that, because that actually is something that I really got that highlighted to me, especially with my child and school, and the parent-teacher reviews and whatnot. That's something I definitely want to get into. But the key to staying young is basically not holding on to things, keeping your heart light as a feather, because the lighter you can be, the healthier you are. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the lighter you could be in within you, let's say, whatever category you want to phase that as in your space, then you have more purity, more clean air. You know what I'm saying? It's like if your house is full of clutter, things start getting moldy, things start deteriorating a lot faster. But when you can see more, then you can keep your house cleaner. Things last longer. You're taking care of, you're paying attention to detail. Certain things may need to be replaced. You can replace them because they're not cluttered by so many different things. But and I'm gonna definitely get into that. As far as memory, the keeping your heart light and whatnot. And it was highlighted to me at a parent-teacher review. So, God to me is more or less authority, and the more things you can take authority over, and it's not control, because you really can't control. You can't control everything. You know what I'm saying? You can't control everything. You can only manage it. And, being aware and present with it, sometimes it's just about riding the waves. But when you ride a wave and the wave gets too overwhelming, then what do? You just relax. Because the moment you try to fight the waves, you end up fatiguing yourself and getting more tired. Sometimes it is about just trusting the process. All right. And certain times we even have desires and whatnot. And when I was younger, I had the desire to be an actor. And this is basically what I've always wanted to do. My dream was always to be an actor. I was never really supported in that area, to be an actor. Didn't have the money back then. My parents weren't wealthy. And, I happen to think that throughout time and the position that I'm in now has been through examples of people I look up to sometimes, and then just keeping it very straight focused, to the levels of my success. And I believe that a lot of the successes that I've gone through as far as monetary gains or even power and positions that I've had in my life has all came down to how I manage these toys in my universe. These things are literal deities, and certain times you may have an abundant source of energy that comes through you in the form of sexual energy. It's about knowing what you're going to do with it. When you want to use it to release certain things within you, and when you want to use it to actually invest in certain things. But we don't know any better. And when we're young, we're supposed to learn these things in school, as far as like learning the elements in elementary school. And then you go to the universe to learn about the university. So everything's supposed to be learning about you. You get what I'm saying? But instead, you're memorizing and learning things outside of you in a school, which means educare, education, to bring out. They're pulling you from you to learn to be a slave, not an authority figure. Because if you were learning about the elements and the universe, you would be God. Realize that you're God in this embodiment form. Even when I look at the characters like Darkseid, the ultimate villain from Superman. Okay? Darkseid has immense power. Undeniable, unbelievable power. But even him just having to be in the form of Darkseid is limiting what his full potential is. So basically, the saying goes, Darkseid just is. Which is why he's one of my favorite characters. There's actually a very interesting video that I'm going to tie in, and I'll put it in the description, that will blow your mind about Darkseid. Certain things you may watch on TV about certain characters that you just look at and you just compartmentalize them into a category based on just seeing him as Darkseid. But he's not even really Darkseid. Just the fact that he took the form of Darkseid is limiting his full potential and full power. But he has to, in order for him to be able to interact in the universe that he is actually participating in. So let's say the superheroes are amongst us, or let's say you are a hero. Any superhero is that alternate version of you. But then the crowd, okay, is your power source. It's not to be vampiric or drain this energy. It's mainly being as authentic as you possibly could be. And then the more interesting you are, the more they pay with interest attention. And then this is how you gain power and currency. I'm realizing this. I didn't know this until it dawned on me, just reliving my childhood playing with toys. How important a crowd is. Looking at wrestling. And it doesn't even have to be wrestling. In your eyes, it could be movies. Because people be like, well, you watch wrestling, it's fake. Well, you watch movies and you watch soap operas and it's fake. So you could use it in any way you want. Those are staged events. You think that what's happening in your everyday life ain't staged events too? But anyway, we'll talk soon. I'm going to tie in other videos, and like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, we'll talk soon.